Here we're going live. Still waiting for it to show up on YouTube.
Yeah, the birds are tweeting. Tip.
Guys, you might want to mute.
Okay.
We got to get. You should use my computer I gave you for these because you're using yours, right? Are you on your Dell? Just nod your head. Yes or no? Yes. Yeah. Because you're blurry. It's a bad camera. All right.
I am a 21st century superhuman, and I know that the answers are inside. Yeah, I am a 21st century superhuman. Now is the time. Come on everyone, let's celebrate. We are the children of the sun. I can see it when I look into your eyes. We are the same, we are light, yeah, we are one. Here now, hear my ancient prayer and sing along. We are awakening as one. And we can make a difference. Yeah, we can be the change it takes to make the world a lot more fun. But if you're feeling kinda down and you need some inspiration to remember who you are, oh now child, please don't frown. You can choose a new vibration and these words can take you far. I am a 21st century superhuman, and I know that the answers are inside.
Hi there. Hey, Rob. Hi, Raymond. How are you both today?
Good, Cary. Thank you.
So good to see you each here. I'm Cary Ellis, author of 21st Century Superhuman, and this is our 21st Century Superhuman show. Today, I have with me Raymond Keller, who is also called Cosmic Ray because he has been contacted by extraterrestrials so many times over so many years, and he plays a major role in what we know about our ET contact experience. And Rob Potter of The Promise Revealed, you're such a great leader in the thought of how consciousness is changing on the planet. I read your intro to Raymond's new book, The Gospel of Thomas, last night, and it was so good. My husband and I read it out loud together, and it's just enlightened consciousness. So today we're going to be talking about these messages from our galactic family who are helping us understand that we need to live conscious, kind, loving lives. And this is why we're here. So I'm going to introduce each of you a little bit and then let you introduce yourself the rest of the way so we get a good, solid feel for how you would like to people to know you. Raymond, I know that you had your first UFO contact when you were 15. Is that right? Or very young?
Yes, it was in the written up in the National Enquirer, in fact. And this is back in the 1960s.
Wow.
I began writing about UFOs as a correspondent for the Bedford Times Register, my hometown newspaper, and published my own Flying Saucer magazine with the help of financing from the Cleveland Ufology Project called the Flying Saucer Report. So I've been in communication with various leading lights in the UFO community ever since, and I try to incorporate that material and pass it on before I pass on to the people of the world.
Awesome. And you have new books that have just come through that are really transmissions from the Venusians on the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. So we're going to get into talking about those in a minute. I'm so excited about this material. It's so beautiful, really amazing. And Rob, go ahead and share a little bit about yourself and your kind of yours and Raymond's connection. I know you're also a contactee, and you have known him a really long time, and you guys have an amazing circle of friends that are carrying this voice to the world.
Thank you, Cary. It's an honor to be on your show here. I'm going to introduce myself by way of my website, which is thepromiserevealeduat.com. You can pretty much Google search Rob Potter, and you can find out a lot of stuff. I have a lot of information there. And
the link is under the video, just so you know already.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm also I sent you another link, which is directly to our book section. And with your permission, I could share that real quick.
Sure.
And have it right.
And Raymond did say that's the best way for people to get his books at this point, right?
Right. So I'm going to show you the first one. This is the link. This is my website here. It has stuff about me, but you can see here we have all of his books. And there's also, this is my book that came about through Raymond's kindness and allowing me to meet a couple of Venusians. He asked the security chief, he said no, and then Raymond happens to know the Queen of Venus, so she told him yeah. Of course, Omnic, and this is a book about Fred Bell, and so this is we have a special on right now, which you get 6 books for $125, and that includes shipping to everywhere in the United States except for out of states. It's so expensive now. I've also given you this link, and people can check this out. This is all of his books, and you can purchase them by clicking on each one. And so my experience, which most people who, if they follow me, I'm a little more out there, but Raymond is a very humble, simple man, and I'm going to do a little introduction for him because he's just a postman like I am, delivering a message. But and this is not to, I'm not trying to promote him as he's a very special person, I'm going to say that. I've written several introductions and prefaces to some of his now 6 books. He just submitted his 7th, as well as the Gospel of Thomas, which is 8. And then he has another 2 books, one on Dr. Frank Strange's and a famous channeler named, well, she went by the name of, what was her name again, Cos?
Dorothy Martin.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Dorothy Martin, but she also went by the name of, what's her?
Sister Thedra.
Sister Thedra, and that's how I found out about her. So, to just give a little background on Raymond, Raymond has been in contact with Venusians since '76 when he went to Gabriel Green's house and met a woman named Lady Orda. She was on the earth, long lived for, I think it was 400 years before she ascended to Venus. That's a separate story, but he actually was taken to Venus on December 21st, 2012. She picked him up in China.
That was a good time to go. The great transition time. Yes.
There was the transition of the queen, the previous queen of Venus. They run on a matriarchal society, and at that point, the ascended master Moria, or Lord Dismas, the one we know that died on the cross with Jesus, known as the Good Thief, who was a regent of Venus, the ascended master, was presiding, and they announced the new queen was sitting right next to Raymond, and in that position she was allowed to invite him to stay, which he did for 2.5 months, and was able to access the Akashic records.
Wow.
And so that's one of the primary things. And another thing, he actually traveled back in time, not just in a bilocation signal, but through a mishap, landed on Earth in '54. That's a long story. It's in Cosmic Ray's Excellent Adventure. And then the final thing I'd like to say in introduction here is, and you have permission to print the introduction in the post on Facebook or whatever you want to the Gospel of Thomas.
So beautiful.
So it's a very special book, and I think I'll stop now, but when we get into how that book was written, I'd like to add some things. So sorry for the little long introduction, but I want people to know that Raymond has a very special relationship. He's actually given documents by them, hand delivered. They monitor our conversations, and one of the Venusians came up to him at a meeting and said, gave a book, this is for me. So he travels with them.
And you'll probably have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
And please just tell us about, I'm curious, actually the first question that came up when Rob was telling your story is, I thought, wow, when you leave this dimension, are you going to get to go to Venus?
Oh, yes. I was told that in a near-death experience in the Pittsburgh Veterans Administration Hospital in 2015, having quadruple bypass surgery. They actually took my heart out of my body to work on it.
Wow.
And while I was under, I had a vision of going up above the earth into a ship of light. It was a ring of light. All I could see was space above me and space below me. I was kind of dizzy, and just holding on to this ring of light, and a being appeared to my side. And then when I would turn, he would appear to the other side.
Wow.
He was wearing different clothing each time he appeared from previous incarnations that I had on the earth. And I came to understand telepathically that this was my oversoul. And he explained to me that I have the option of going back down to earth and finishing up the work that I was sent to do on the earth, is to write these books about the mysteries of the planet Venus, or to go back home to Venus, which is where I began all my incarnations on the on the Earth plane. So I to come back because after all, I learned that that's what I was born to do.
Beautiful. I just have chills as you're talking. It's lovely. Do you think of Venus as, I think of it as a higher dimensional space. Do you think of it that way, or how would you explain it?
Yes, I would say that it is, because it exists on many dimensional levels, as do other planetary bodies. And I was in the Venus of our third and fourth dimension.
Ah.
So Venusians have mastered travel through time.
Yes.
There are other levels even higher in the etheric planes on Venus, and our friend Onek is from one of those levels.
Nice.
There was a Meade Lane from Borderland Sciences Research Association in San Diego, and in the late 1940s through the 50s and the early 60s, he had revealed that there are 60 planets in our solar system.
Wow.
And of course, we can only see 12 of them that are on the physical plane, but the other 48 are on higher etheric levels.
Nice. Very cool. Would you like to tell us how the Gospels of Thomas and Mary Magdalene came to you? And feel free to show your slides when you want, but I'd love to hear, how did they begin introducing this information to you? Because it's really amazing.
Can I share?
Please.
That?
Yes.
Because I just love this part, and Raymond might miss some of the super metaphysical aspects of this, and then I'll bow out to
Go for
the
it.
cause. But Dr. Frank Strange's was tasked by Valiant Thor to reveal some information of the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I've been talking to Raymond about it, and said, gosh, if anyone's supposed to kind of fill in there, and I don't know if this was preordained before, or if that was some impetus for it, but they gave him a very special technology. If people remember, Aaron, Moses' son, used to stand before the Ark of the Covenant, and he had a breastplate that had 12 stones, and they kind of probably had tarps or tents around there, and a priest would stand behind him and ask questions. And I don't know if he had any glasses or anything that allowed him to interpret the answers to the questions.
Rob, hold your mic up a little bit, because you sound great. The hiss is gone, but I'd like to hear you. Yeah, just hold it up a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So, he was able to interpret the answers in kind of a vision that was before him.
It's amazing.
Now, this technology probably has been used in other occasions that we may not know about. Who knows? But the prophet Mormon, of the starter of he didn't really start the religion. He started an association of people that turned into a religion, and that was Joseph Smith. And what happened was an angel, Moroni, probably from Venus, I don't know, but appeared at his bed and told him to get these golden plates underneath this tree at a certain location.
Yes.
And he was a younger guy, so he thought it was just a dream, or he probably didn't. It took him 3 or 4 times. The angel goes, will you get up and get those things and go dig there? So he finally goes and digs up this box, and this box has these golden plates, and it's kind of and in this box was one stone, and it also had a pair of glasses. And in the Mormon religion, it's understood these are called the Urim and the Thummim stone. The rock itself is called the seer, and the glasses were called the interpreter. And a lot of this has been even misunderstood by the Mormons. I think at some point they have a lot of things about it, but basically what Raymond was given was a pair of goggles, and I have a feeling they were probably hand delivered to him. He didn't have to go dig anything, but he had a pair of goggles that he said looked like World War goggles. And what he would do, so I was able to, it's really hard for me to keep this under wraps, but I couldn't really tell anyone, even my family, what it was. I said he's working on a very special project for the Venusians. It's related to the Bible and the Gospel of Thomas. But what happened is he would place a stone on his head and wear these goggles, and he would be in like a bilocation signal into the Akashic records. And by the way, little digression here, how he got to see the Akashic records when he was on Venus was he went up to the Ascended Master El Moria, and I said, wow, you met the Ascended Master El Moria? He said, what was your feeling? He said, wonderment and awe. And then I said, what did you ask him? He said, I asked him if I could see the Akashic records, and he said yes. And that's how he knew when he went up into the ring of light and saw his oversoul, because he was seeing the eyes remained the same, but the face and the clothes kept changing, and he recognized those clothes because he went back to all of his incarnations on the earth, from his very first incarnation as what we call the poet scribe of Virgil in our ancient history books. He was the first scribe for the very first Caesar, and so he's been a writer and a scribe throughout his life. So what happened was I asked him, so how does it work? And he chose these Gospels, the youth Gospel of Jesus, and I don't even know where that came from or how he was able to look at it, and then the Gospel of Thomas and the Acts of Thomas, and the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. And the process was, and he would share with me through it, he would be looking into the past like he was there. I said, could you look around? Yeah, he said they could look around, he could discern what the disciples were thinking. And the way he did this is he would look at the text that was only partially fragment, maybe just one letter of one page even of the parcel, and he was able to interpret the entire page and actually see it. So this gospel is actually the most accurate of any gospel in the Bible, and with his mastery of the English language and his research ability and his metaphysical knowledge, he's able to translate this information as if it was written yesterday. So it's a very special and unique gift from the ministry of angels through their chosen messenger, Raymond Keller. And you can read about that. That's going to be on my website in a series of posts. But it's a long introduction I wrote because I felt it was very important that people understood why this gospel, or how this gospel is written in its present form. And with that, I'm just going to bow out and listen now.
Yes, thank you, Rob. You're really eloquent. Your writing is eloquent. Your ability to transmit this stuff, you're definitely plugged in to the higher dimensions, and it's flowing through you. So we honor that, and we really respect it and appreciate it very much. Very, very much. Great voice.
Thank you. I had an angel on my shoulder for that one.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. So, and the Nag Hammadi manuscripts, when they were found, are kind of the remains of what we have of this material that you were writing, right, Raymond?
Yes, that's correct. And of course, they're worn and fragmented.
Right.
After 20 centuries. And there are gaps in these texts called lacunas by translators from the ancient languages. And what the interpreter, the goggles allowed me to do is to see through the Akashic record what was missing in the gaps, and to fill them in.
Fabulous.
That's what I did.
I feel like we're being overlit too. I have just currents going through me as you're talking. Grateful for the presence that's here with us.
I'll show you some of the the illustrations. The illustrations are beautiful. They're done by Dan Gorman, who's done comic books for Marvel,
Great.
the Marvel universe, and some other high-profile publishers. He actually did the artwork. So I have one beautiful drawing from him, from Dan Gorman, for each section. So I'll
Great.
show those here. Okay. So we go to from the current slide. Oops. Okay. And
Shoot.
it's oh, okay,
There
it
you
is.
go.
Alrighty. So these are the Gospels of Thomas and Mary Magdalene. The Gospels of Thomas include the Gospel of the young Jesus, when Jesus was growing up in Nazareth, and all his family, and it's very, very inspiring. Then we have Gospel of Thomas in the time that he was with Jesus in his actual 3-year ministry in Jerusalem and occupied Israel. And then we have Thomas in India, his journeys through India, and then what became of him and his further relation with the resurrected Jesus, and then the Gospel of Mary of Magdala, or Mary Magdalene.
There you
So
go. Can you move
I
that? Can you move that to the left at all? It's a little bit off our screen. I don't know if there's a way to do that, or maybe not.
I actually see all of it.
Can you see all of it? Okay, go
It's
ahead.
not actually centered in it, but
That's okay. Go ahead, Raymond.
Oh, okay. I call it the Morning Star version because Jesus said in Revelation 22:16, "I am the bright and morning star, the root and offspring of David." And so he self-identified with the planet Venus and imparted a supreme spiritual significance to the planet Venus, which is the morning star.
Beautiful.
Okay, then this is the illustration from the Gospel of the young Jesus, and I'll read just one brief section out of there, so you have an idea.
Okay. They look kind of just like kids today. They look very.
Oh yes, and well, people actually did wear pants then. Pants have been worn since the 3rd century BC among the Greeks. It started in the Greeks and then spread through the Mediterranean region. So people were asking about that. Why did Dan illustrate it that way? And so it actually is historically accurate.
Nice.
Okay, let me find the section here. And so what we learn is that Thomas Didymus means the twin, and he was the twin brother of Jesus. This reflects their adventures together in growing up in Nazareth. This is the introduction. I, Judas Thomas, an Israelite philosopher and twin brother of Jesus, do hereby write this account of our Lord Jesus, also known as the Christ, for the benefit of the elect among the Gentiles, being numbered among the general assembly and church of the firstborn, concerning his youth in Nazareth, some of that which he did after being born in our country. The beginning of the Master's story is as follows. And then there's an account of Jesus healing a sparrow with a broken wing. Then other accounts of guardian angels. His growing up and he and Thomas having different teachers, working with his father in the carpentry shop, and traveling with his father to Sepphoris to do work for the rich Greeks and Romans that lived there, and borrowing books from the library of a rich patron, and self-educating himself about matters of spiritual importance. And Jesus in the temple, and so forth. So it's a beautiful book. Then the second book is about Jesus and the apostles, and Jesus and his brother in the work of the ministry. And this is a picture that I included because it's representative of, pretty much representative of what Jesus looked like. And there was a contactee named James W. Dean from Nickerson, Kansas, outside of Hutchinson, Kansas. And in the 1960s and 1970s, he flew aboard Confederation spaceships, and he was privileged to see a picture of what Jesus looked like. This is how he identified Jesus as looking. But this is the first section in the Gospel of Thomas for the Judean ministry. These esoteric teachings of Jesus the Christ, spoken in the 3-year period of his Judean ministry, is accurately conveyed by his twin brother, Didymus Judas Thomas. Jesus declared that whoever finds the true interpretation of these sayings will not experience death. Therefore, let the one who seeks knowledge of heavenly things continue in this manner until such time as they acquire it. No doubt they will initially become troubled, finding the true meaning hard to accept, difficult to reconcile with the teachings of the religious authorities in Jerusalem. The puzzlement of the seeker will give way to an astonishment and a great wonder. The knowledge of the kingdom far surpasses any knowledge to be gained in this material world. And this is quite a long section. There's quite a long gospel. There's 99 sections in it. And in the end, I like the very end of it, because some of the other apostles are critical of Mary Magdalene, and Jesus comes to her aid in a beautiful defense. And everything in this gospel is thoroughly footnoted. There's pages and pages and pages of footnotes in the standard scriptures that we have in the King James Bible.
Beautiful.
And they're all referenced there, so that you'll know that none of this is made up, and it's all authenticated.
I love that. Go ahead, Rob.
I was going to say one thing I wanted to reference, because when Jesus went to India previously, and he didn't have such a good time there, and when he after he was resurrected, told Thomas, "Hey, I'd like you to go to India." He goes, "India? You had such a bad time. Oh, don't send me there." But this explains, and I want to make this clear: Christ did resurrect. Okay, so when people say that he went to India afterwards, that's not true. It was his twin brother. I'm sure he was appearing around the world in various forms, even in the Americas, to the natives. But the confusion that Jesus didn't die on the cross and lived out and died in India is incorrect. It was his twin brother.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, this is in there, and these are just footnotes, and you could see that they're quite extensive, page after page, to document these teachings of Jesus and Thomas. I'll read the last, some of the last part of it, because it's really good. From the teachings of the Master, the disciples came to understand that an individual soul was constituted of the fleshly body and the spirit. Keeping this in mind, Jesus informed us, "Woe to the flesh that depends on the soul, and woe to the soul that depends on the flesh. The spirit is linked to the soul for its duration on the material plane. Unlinking the spirit from the soul, thus leaving the flesh behind, is what sets it free." The disciples inquired of the Master, "When will the kingdom come?" Jesus replied, "It will not get here any sooner by waiting for its arrival. It will not be a matter of simply saying, 'Here it is,' or 'There it is.' Rather, the kingdom of the Father is spread out over the entirety of the earth, but there be few who actually see it." So this is important, because a lot of people today talk about the ascension and so forth. And as Annalise Guerin and many advanced souls that have been on the earth and are now ascended masters have taught us, it's already here. You just have to step into it.
Yes, yes.
And then here's some very interesting section. This is where Simon Peter urged the other disciples to expel Mary Magdalene from their band, saying, "We should ask Mary to leave us, for women have no part in the work of the brethren, let alone fellowship." Jesus, overhearing this remark, said to Peter, "Have no qualms about Mary, for I have found her worthy of the work. Know ye not that the Father created man and woman in his image? Male and female created he them. Like yourself, Mary possesses a living spirit. All spirits that enter the kingdom of heaven are equal in the eyes of the Father of lights."
Beautiful. Very nice.
And then this is the next one is the gospel. Okay. This is, oops. Oh. Yeah, this is, okay. Okay, this is the Gospel of Thomas in India, as he traveled, as he traveled through India. And before it goes into the arrangements of the journey that the Master was making with a merchant to send his brother to India, the origins of the calling are explained in the first chapter. And it said, "The sun had already set, and I, Judas Thomas, also called Didymus, being the twin brother of Jesus, and the other apostles were all gathered in Jerusalem. We came together to portion out the regions of the world in accordance with the last instructions given us by the Master Jesus, in order that each one of us might go into the region that fell to him by lot. And by this lot, the nation of India fell to me, a land to which I did not want to go. I am too weak of body to make such a journey," I protested to Simon Peter, the chief of the apostles, further asking him, "How can I, being a Hebrew, go among the Indians to proclaim the truth?" But then Thomas does go there. He spends many years there. He proclaims the gospel boldly before kings and potentates and so forth. So it's a beautiful, very, very beautiful account, and quite a beautiful and surprise ending. Then the next gospel is that of Mary Magdalene, and or Mary of Magdala, and there's quite a lot that we learn about her and her relationship to Jesus that I will just save for you to as you get a copy of this. But this picture is depicting Mary Magdalene as she appreciates Thomas' defense of her role as the sole female apostle. And I'll just read the first section of this part as well. In the weeks following his resurrection, Jesus appeared to his disciples, both individually and assembled together on numerous occasions, imparting to them a knowledge of the nature of the material world and also of the higher worlds in the spiritual realm of the pleroma. I, Mary of Magdala, the only woman called by Jesus, the Holy One of Israel, to be numbered among his apostles, provide now my testament of his words and teachings for the edification of the saints in Jerusalem and scattered throughout the nations. One evening, as the apostles were roasting some fish and breaking bread along the banks of the Jordan River, Jesus appeared in their midst, but assuming a much younger appearance. The apostles were praying and initially did not recognize that it was Jesus when he entered their camp. Jesus laughed and said, "Fear not, friends, it is I, Jesus." Peter was the first to recognize him, rise and welcome Jesus. "It is so good to see you again, Master," he said, embracing and kissing Jesus. Then the other apostles rose, embracing and kissing Jesus as well. The apostles then inquired of Jesus, "Master, where did you go, and what did you do there after you left us?" "The Father of lights regenerated my soul and carried me away to the celestial realm of Barbelo, where all stand immortal before him. Barbelo is but one of the kingdoms of the Father, far beyond the sun and even the stars. It is populated with innumerable concourses of angels, to which I could see no end. These great ones are holy and perfected beings. Only those who have been purged of the impurities of the material realm can pass by the angelic sentries that guard the gates of Barbelo." So this is all very highly esoteric information, and later on, Mary Magdalene in this gospel has a dispute with the other apostles because they were jealous that she was taught these things, and they and they weren't. And then some of the apostles come to her aid, and you could see why the information in this gospel is so astounding that you could see why the ecclesiastical authorities in the later centuries tried to keep this information from getting to the people, because actually it empowers them. It reiterates what it says in the book of Hebrews, that we're all priests, kings and queens before God and his kingdom. And we have only one high priest, and we only need one priest, one great high priest in Jesus Christ. And so this revelation is accessible to all, and that whenever two or more are gathered in his name, his Spirit is there, the Holy Spirit is there in the midst of them. So we don't need or organized religion. We have scriptures, and we could read it for ourselves and understand it for ourselves by the Spirit of God.
Yes.
I'd like to add an accentuation here.
How about, just pause for 1 second. Raymond, how about, are you ready to turn off your screen sharing?
Oh, yes.
And then we'll be back.
I'd like to add a little accentuation point.
Go ahead.
So when I heard that, I said, here they are. They've been, Jesus is, he's just passed over, and they're going like, what's the deal with Mary and all of that? And I was thinking, wow. And so Raymond said, look, women were like, they were just barely above like animals in certain elements of a patriarchal class type system. And so in my recent questions, which we could maybe do another show on the recent information that they shared with me before the conference, and answer to many questions, I answered them. So one thing I want to make clear is Jesus was married to her. So they had 3 children. She was pregnant when he died, and Joseph of Arimathea took her to France, where the 3rd child was born, on her way to the British Isles. So we see that it was hidden. So I asked the Venusians, and one of the questions I said, how did they manage to keep, the fact that he was married and that he had a twin brother out of the equation? And Alon, the security chief, said, well, Rob, and check this out. This is kind of, this is how religions roll. In 1159, the church wanted to reinforce celibacy. So what they did was they had it's called the Lateran Council, and they had been fighting against Martin Luther, who was another incarnation of Christ, he was a prince, kind of a king in his own right. He had his own wealth. And so the church was trying to get all of the priests to bequeath all of their property of the churches that they had created and hand them over to the Vatican for ownership. So literally, they had several pushes, and they finally said that, all priests have to be celibate, so Jesus couldn't be an example. But to be called rabbini, or to be a rabbi as Jesus was, you had to be married in that time. So when you think about it, the fact that the divine feminine and the truth of Mary Magdalene being Jesus' wife and the 3 children really turns out to be a land grab, a financial, by the Vatican. So it's pretty amazing that we've lost the divine feminine.
That's another point in there too, Rob, that even in the local churches, in order to be a leader of a local assembly or a bishop, you had to be married to one wife and have obedient children in order to be a leader, because you had to counsel them. And I think that's defined there in Ephesians. So it was definitely a land grab. It was 1139.
1139.
That took place when that council decided to sequester the land of the priests. So not having a family that they could pass it on to was part of that scheme.
Many of the Gospels were not actually put into the New Testament. I think they left a bunch out, probably those referencing reincarnation and the fact that Jesus was married with his kids, most likely. And so I think it's important that we bring this into a more modern understanding that men and women are absolutely equal.
Yes, very good. Let me hop in a second. Raymond, I love everything you're sharing. That essence, that how much more important the kingdom of love, of living the Christed way, of living in harmony with God is than the material realm. We don't take any of the material realm with us. And that, I think that's just so important to remember, because letting go of our attachments to things and what we get done, and remembering how important is our soul consciousness, our presence with our heart and with our presence with God, is so important. And one of the things I loved in the material that Rob had sent me that I was reading on your books is talking about that God is spirit, and Jesus is the manifestation of that spirit into the physical realm. I thought that was really cool. That I liked that link.
Oh yes, and that's the important message in all these Gospels, is the emphasis on spirit.
Yes,
being in the spirit, because as you said, you can't take it with you.
That's right. And I think
The material things of the world.
that's right. And so living with kindness, living with love, with compassion, caring for others, all these things are so important because they develop our soul. And I know you talk about that in there a lot. I feel like this is maybe good for today. We've covered a lot of stuff, and we talked about your, if you maybe have a few more words you'd like to say about the Gospel of Thomas or Mary Magdalene, I think we should do another show, maybe next Monday, same time, same station, and on your interaction with the Venusians. I think rather than going into that today, I think we're good. I think this is really a great covering, and I'd like to review. We don't have a lot of people on live right now, and part of it is because I'm broadcasting midday, and it has to do with my bandwidth not being good later, and I need to be at a time when I can get you guys. So, but I think a lot of people will watch this as it's out there on YouTube. So, and we'll share it. But I'd like to review where people can get the books and how they can get them and where you are in your publishing process, and give us a few tidbits on that. And go ahead, Robin, any final thoughts either of you have?
Right, so what I was going to say as far as the books go, the books are on my website. And
Right.
we would appreciate if you purchase them there. Raymond gets much more money than he does if you buy them on Amazon.
Yes.
I showed the other link to Headline Books, and I just got that today, and I'm going to be publishing that on my book site. So anyone outside of the USA, shipping is insane. So I had a person that purchased the books, and he was able to get them for a very reasonable price through Headline Books. They have some sort of special deal. So one book of Raymond's, when I tried to ship it to England, was $40 shipping. The book
Right.
itself is $25. So for anyone in international waters, we want to go to the Headline Books link that you can put there, and the link actually says for international shipping only. And the rest you can get at thepromiserevealed.com with the other link I just sent you.
Right.
So that can go on there. That's on my website.
The link is under, and it's not really thepromiserevealed.com, it's the Promise Revealed
UAT.com.
and
they can
that's
do the
under the video. Are they going to be out in ebooks? I know a lot of people will ask that.
Yes, they'll eventually be in ebooks. One of them is already out on Kindle.
Okay.
Also, is it Nook? Yeah, it's available. Called that's the
It's an
very
Audible book.
in the series Venus Rising.
Okay. That's great. And I have some.
One other
Go
thing.
ahead.
The gospel is actually not printed yet. So what we have here, Raymond, you can hold it up. It's a little spiral bound version. He has 3 copies left, but I think he said that for $25 you can purchase that. And I think that it's up to Raymond if you want, but I think you can probably go directly to him. No need to come to me for that. I have hard copy books, and Raymond's very busy, so I do kind of act as his on the boots distributor, so he's not
Right.
always dealing with the post
Hold your
office.
mic up a little bit, Rob. And so the Gospel of Thomas and the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, when will the publishing of those be done?
Okay, they're at the printers now in Belmont, Michigan, and they should be ready very soon. I hope that he's got a backlog that he's working on of different books, but perhaps if you contact Headline Books and you could pre-order one, I'll tell Kathy that Kathy Teach, the publisher, to go ahead and set something up for that.
Or people can contact me and pre-order. I'll put that on my website and say it's a pre-order, but we're not sure. It could be, a month, maybe even 2.
Right.
But if you want one of the 81st spiral bound, ones, you can. Are you okay if they contact you directly, Cos?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, well, she can put the your email in there. Anyway, so thank you for helping to promote that. I'm just so amazed that we're saying a lot of things here. That reincarnation was very important. This is emphasized in the gospel, that there is a higher dimensions, and that Jesus was making it clear that we have an eternal soul and that we do have eternal life, whether we even know it or not. And so this is going to set the world of Christians on fire in a sense. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people detracting from it, but this will stand on its own. So I'm not really a super biblical scholar, but I love God and I seek truth. And,
Right.
And it's amazing.
And I think some of the neat points that you guys have brought forward too is how the churches, basically the Vatican, whatever, have over the centuries have suppressed so much truth, and this is helping bring forth the truth, and that's really important because the original documents, bringing this forth so that we're really getting the real truth instead of what has been pushed aside to keep humanity suppressed.
And they look for differences between the religions, and they try to be superior to each other when we're all children of a one true, living, loving God.
Yes.
So it's just ridiculous that people fight about their religions and want to be right instead of looking for the similarities in the message of community and family and support and hope and love, which is the message of the Venusians.
Yes.
What I've discovered about the from the Venusians is that it's a very simple process, and when you look at simple acts of kindness or even kind words like Dismas had to Jesus when they were being crucified together, is that there have been cases like Annalise Guerin and others that have been instantaneously translated just because of a single act of kindness, or Dolores Barrios, her story is in the Venus Rising and the Cosmic Rays Excellent Venus Adventure, and they have been instantly taken to higher realms just out of a simple act of kindness, because you never know who you're dealing with. In Hebrews chapter 13 verse 2, my favorite verse, is that we should always be kind to strangers, for know ye not that ye entertain angels unawares.
And one of the big things I really think with Raymond's work and the fact that he's revealing so much about the Venusians and the heavenlies and the relationship to the Bible, and angel means messenger, and they look just like us. They live in a rarefied realm or a higher frequency. They are on Venus in what we call the fourth dimension. The Earth is moving into that, but we are programmed, and we could, if we just would accept it and act upon it, now we are in, we could move our consciousness into the fourth dimension. And so that whole process of, is another dialogue, but I think it's important that we know that they're just humans, other beings like us. They're spiritually more advanced.
Yes.
And we don't worship them. We only worship God.
Right.
And we don't have to fear them, except for some of them, maybe.
Yeah. I think we need to do a series of these. Maybe we'll do 2 or 3 or 4, just so we can cover all this really important material.
Yes, well, the Sufi prophet Rumi and the poet Rumi has said that at any time there's at least 4,000 angels on earth that are operative.
Beautiful.
Watching us, guiding us, and protecting us. And all the contactees have said the same thing. Right now I'm working with all the files of Dr. Frankie Stranges, and
Cool.
people can follow my series on that on Rob's site, as well as Lon Strickler's phantomsandmonsters.com.
Cool. I'll put that link under the video too. I just like to say, really, this is what we teach in 21st Century Superhuman as well, that we are divine beings. We create in this realm. And when we focus in, we're designed to focus in love. We're designed to focus in service. We're designed to focus in kindness. And as we do that, we literally raise ourselves to a higher dimension here. And I'm really honored to be here with you both today and appreciate both of your energies on the planet. And I feel like this restoration of the knowledge of that every person is equal in God's eyes, of every religion, every sex, every whatever all of our differences are, that we really are one. We really are each a divine soul, and we're remembering that divine self that we have. And rather than spending time watching chaotic news and the breakdown of the old in this great shift of the ages, because the change is here. As more light comes into the planet, that which is not of the light is disintegrating. And so to embody that light, to embody love, to embody Christed consciousness, God consciousness, is really why we're here. It's what we teach. And I love it that you wrote these things. Raymond, I can't wait to read them. And Rob, that you're such a warrior for the support, helping Raymond get this work out. It's beautiful. And I just want to thank you both so much. Any last words of wisdom?
Well, we're all a small flame from the first flame.
Beautiful.
If we look at the Holy Ghost as being a fire, and then we're all little flames that pass from that one big candle to all of us as little candles. Mm-hmm. And that's one way of looking at it. So we have that divine spark in all of us, and when we relate to each other on that level, then we transcend all of the worries and concerns of the material world.
Yeah, for me, I'm very grateful for Raymond. He's just taught me so much. He's so open and so sharing with me. I've learned so much, and as the Queen told me, she goes, I had kind of discerned some things through this gospel about the dark hierarchy versus the light, and the nature of God. The God, there's the infinite creator, which is, was, and always will be, and then the first beings to step out, the archangels, or Archangel Michael, who Jesus calls his father, is a reflection of that infinite Father of creating worlds without end. And as your Rancher book tells us, Archangel Michael created this galaxy. This galaxy is his creation, just as we have a creation of life inside of us. So as above, so below. And Christ was a very special avatar, being the firstborn, and he is a reflection of his father, Archangel Michael, and held that position for 3.5 years and still does. So people get very triggered by religion and the idea of Christ, and claiming he didn't even exist, or all this stuff. But Raymond and I are just postmen and messengers bringing this truth. It's a spiritual information, and it's not so much about silver spaceships and spacesuits. This is about a gnosis. That's why the Venusians always work behind the scenes surreptitiously, not to interfere in our development, to allow us to make the choices towards love and light. And I want to thank you, Cary, and I want to thank you again, Raymond, as I always do, for being so open and sharing your information with me and others so freely. And I'd like to put it out there for any churches or anything. You can always contact me through my website. We're looking to be doing some traveling and sharing this new gospel. I'm sure it's going to receive some resistance from some because we're revealing that the extraterrestrials and the grander mansions or the dwelling places in the universe that Jesus talked about are real, and that understanding this multi-dimensional universe is part of the new gnosis that mankind must step into as we move into the fourth dimension.
Beautiful.
So thank you.
Beautiful.
Very much for having us on.
Raymond, there's a fella here with a question or a comment. I thought I'd share it with you. Charles Hield, he says, got here late, we'll watch replay. I find the Nag Hammadi Library more important than the Dead Sea Scrolls. Watching from Rochester, Washington. Any comment?
Oh yes, I would agree. The Dead Sea Scrolls are about the ancient battles that took place in the heavens between forces of light and the forces of darkness, and in essence they're an extension of the Book of Enoch and the Old Testament generally, whereas the Nag Hammadi provides us a profound spiritual insight and expansion of the ideas introduced in the New Testament or the New Covenant, which it's more than some nationalistic tribal thing, but the brotherhood and sisterhood of all humankind.
Very good. Beautiful. Charles says the Jordan codexes are authentic in my judgment and also inspiring.
Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. And I want to remind everybody in our audience, as we always say, to breathe, smile, and love, because by so doing, we change our neurobiology, and by so doing, we change the world. So I'm going to go ahead and play our outro song, and if you guys want to stay on for a minute and chat with me afterwards, you can, or we'll just catch up soon. Thank you again so much. Lots of love to all.
Care.
Okay.
Much appreciated.
And if you're feeling kind of down and you need some inspiration to remember who you are, whoa, now, child, please don't frown. You can choose a new vibration, and these words can take you far. I am a 21st century superhuman, and I know that the answers are inside. I am 21st century superhuman. Now is the time.